There are other recordings that will go over the alignment principles, but not too many. So let's just go over it again so we feel like what we've been talking about, we can remember. We're always adding on too. So maybe there's something that we've done during this time and you can ask questions at the end and that kind of thing, but let's get a nice clean video for us. So we have 12 alignment principles that we're going to follow when we're using the swing specifically for a therapeutics program, which I call regenerative therapeutics, and that's the RX. The main thing that we want to focus on is the spine, right? I actually love for you guys to put the papers down in front of you and go along with me with the body. You can pick it up and look too, but let's just actually feel it, right? Use our hands because we've gone over this a few times. So the spine has two ends, the crown of the head and the tailbone. And I like to create a dynamic tension in the spine by lifting up as we root down at the same time. This gives us an opportunity to create space in between the vertebrae. It's the cushioning, those discs that usually get compressed. So you'll hear things like bulging discs or, herniated discs and all these names. That all comes from compression. So the remedy is expansion, right? That's the solution. And so we want to feel ourselves lifting up, the crown of the head staying in line with the tailbone. So if you feel like a string or a plumb line is pulling you up through the crown of the head, at the same time there's a gigantic magnet pulling you down through your tailbone, you'll start to feel this, what I call dynamic tension. You guys can feel that, right?
Yes.
And unless you bring attention to this part of the body, it's not actually engaged that way. There's like a collapse, right? There's just a collapse. Let alone the posturing, are we actually aligned? Is the head directly over the body? Okay, so after we focus on the spine, we naturally go to the head, right? So whenever we think about the head, we want to consider about lifting our gaze. To find that, put your hands underneath your chin and let your jawline be level with the earth, okay? Most people have their chin tucked in, and if you do that, you're naturally looking down. So just play with that, chin tucked in, do it the wrong way, and then lift the chin. And notice how it changes your gaze. Now, including with that, the center of the crown is at the tip of the ears going straight up where your fingers meet. Most people think their head is way far forward or way far back. So they think like here, and then they'll do this, right? So we want to get that right alignment, and then we're pulling straight up from there. So it's almost like you have somebody lifting up all the time. Doesn't that feel good? Can you feel relief in the neck immediately? So you'll hear me say a shorthand, gaze up. Because everyone's looking down in the practice. There's just nothing on the ground that you need to look at, like ever. I want you to feel your body instead of having to visually look down and cue yourself, right? And can you keep your gaze up? So not even horizontal, but top corner of the room is even better. When we gaze up, we're actually activating the pineal gland. Do you guys know that? Yeah. If you look up, you're looking towards your third eye. It has a pineal activation. Super important for all kinds of reasons. We'll just leave that there as a little seed. When you're looking down, it's activating a totally different part of your brain, and everyone is looking down at their cell phones, computers, all of that stuff. It's really shifting our alignment. Then from there, we're going to go to the heart, right? So we want to lead with the heart. So when we lead with the heart, we're activating the chest and letting the head sink back over the body. So we're lifting our sternum up. That's why I want you to just use your hands and feel this lift in the sternum. Does everybody know where their sternum is? Yes. It's right in between the breastbone, right? And so it's like we're the place where the ribs meet, and then slightly up from there, about an inch or two up from there. Okay, so just notice that if you can drop that and lift that. Without sticking the ribs out, we're going straight up instead of out. Yes. Just notice what that does for the neck and shoulders. These are all super important cues. And then from there, we want to focus on wrapping our wings on our back, right? So one of the ways that I teach this is to externally rotate and create a spiral. So what we're going to do is use our hands to represent the spiral. From here, can you see how the shoulders are now open? I call this open. If your hands are closer to your waist, I call it closed. Your shoulder has rounded down, and then you have like a little gap here. So this is an external rotation. So when you hear me say thumbs up in a pose, that's creating an external rotation. Try straightening your arms out and have thumbs up. There you go. Good. So that is externally rotated. This is internally rotated. Can you feel the difference? Yeah. So sometimes in a class, especially a beginner class, you're not going to give all those cues. You can just say thumbs up, gaze up, right? Up. So up is the solution with the upper body in general. Then what we want to do is we want to pull the bottom tips of the shoulder blades on the back. So what that does is it helps to spread the shoulders. So we're lengthening through the collarbones, right? And then we pull our elbows in and down, and that will squeeze the bottom tips of the shoulder blades together. Can you guys feel that?
Yes.
Super important. This is what we call our lats. So we're engaging our lats with the swing, and very few things actually make you focus on your lats the way the swing does, because we have to pull down to really keep that engagement. Okay, so all of that, when I'll just say like, pull down strongly, that's engaging the lats. Okay, so it's thumbs out, elbows in, and really rotate your thumbs back as you push your elbows forward. Okay, yeah, hands a little wider, pull the elbows in. That's it, right there. Can you feel the difference?
Yes.
Okay, good. And this will heal the shoulders. There's so many people that are coming in with shoulder injuries because this is their natural position. You've seen that, right? Where they're kind of like concave here.
Yeah.
They're protecting their hearts. There's a lot of wounded, heavy, tender hearts in this world, and they're protecting it. Totally get it. But that is not going to heal the heart by protecting it, So we want to help to open that up, but know that this is a sensitive, tender area that we're going to getting into. And people are like, no, So then we pulse and undulate with the breath. So all the cat's meow, all the chill flow sequences that we do where we're inhaling and exhaling, we're pulsing with the breath to try to come on, open up. So that's why that alignment principle is so helpful. Okay, let's just peek here. We did the sternum, we did the head, leading with the heart. We just did the lats, so shoulder loop, just talking about the thumbs up, rotating the shoulders forward. So what does this look like? We're flexing. Yeah, we're flexing. And then which pose do we flex in? Do you guys remember? Butterfly.
Butterfly, yes.
Butterfly. And then also the forward fold where we have the swing at our elbows. So all of that, if your hands are down here, we're not flexing, right? We're actually reinforcing the internal rotation or the closed shoulder, and that will reinforce an injury. We're trying to heal that, and it opens up the chest, right? So we're spreading through the top of the chest, and this allows the wings to go on the back. Okay, so that is just all upper body right there. The spine is the main thing we focus on, creating dynamic tension, and then we focus on the sternum, the head, the heart, and then the shoulder loop for the upper body. Okay, so then we're going to focus on the legs. So the legs are really tricky for people because I like to focus on the pubic bone as the main focal point. And most people are like, whoa, don't touch your pubic bone, right? But when we're in sumo squat in these different positions, we're trying to get an internal rotation of the legs. We have an external rotation of the shoulders and an internal rotation of the legs. This spreads the sacrum and takes pressure off the lower back, and it allows the pubic bone to go back and down, and at the same time the tailbone pushes towards the pubic bone to get this lift. So the navel, the belly button, is coming in and up, right? And then all of a sudden our chest is going to come out and back. So you have these two seemingly opposing movements in the body, but they're complementing one another. And that helps us to ground. So we're always keeping our hips heavy. Heart open, head relaxed. That means balance directly over the spine. So we're going to focus again today to incorporate all these alignment principles, which is a little bit more of an in-depth complexity than you would teach in a beginner class. But as you work with people with injury and different limitations, it'll help so much to heal the shoulders and open up the lower back if we get these spirals. Okay, so a shortcut that I usually say, heels out, toes in. Okay, another way to get the internal spiral is to spread your sit bones. Everybody know where your sit bones are?
Yes.
Again, don't be afraid to get back there. Spread your sit bones. When your sit bones pull apart without moving your feet, you can actually feel the sacrum start to spread. So when you pull the knees together, like in a pose like headstand, knees together, feet together, or when I'm always saying touch the toes, glue the toes together, that's creating an internal spiral with the legs. As soon as your legs get floppy You're externally spiraling. You're going to crunch your lower back. In all of these poses, our lower back is happy and long. We're already arched here and here. We don't want to bend into that arch. We're going to crunch the spine. We actually arch from our upper thoracic back. And that will happen if you have an external spiral here and an internal spiral here. Then you're like a big archway, like a rainbow. So you hear me say that quite often, like a rainbow. A rainbow doesn't have a little kink in it, right? It has a big, beautiful arch. So we're learning how to do that. So after hips heavy and pubic bone down, tailbone pressing towards the pubic bone, turning the heels out, toes in just slightly, spreading the sit bones. Then the core activation, we're working with this pivot point at the hips. All of our movements are from our hips where our body stays in a straight line. I call it a plank. And we're really going to need our plank today to do our core activations. So our entire torso becomes our core. We're learning how to use our upper, middle, and lower abdominals evenly so we can lift. We can lift our legs. We can lift with our arms. It's super important that we can lift our own body weight. That's all we need to do in order to get strong. Okay, so the navel comes in and up, and then we bend at the hip flexors. We don't bend at the waist anymore. Bending at the waist is what injures the back, the lower back in particular. And then we're gonna stack the bones. This is so important. So stacking the bones, this is also what I call like plugging in. So most people have their elbows bent in poses that they should really be straight, like a plank pose, like a down dog, like a handstand. It just always amazes me how many times I have to say, straighten your arms, keep your arms straight, keep your arms straight, straighten your arms. It's like, and so what we want to do is just immediately in our bodies stack, like super strong, stacked directly out of the shoulders, right? We can T the arms too. You'll also hear me say T the arms, not a V, a T. Yeah. Just turn sideways. So that's a V still. Look at your thumbs if you're not sure. Thumbs up in all the poses. There you go. See how it's all subconsciously programmed to be closed? We have to retrain ourselves to be open. So we T the arms. We do not V. We do not V. Very few poses will I have you do a V. And if I do, I'll tell you this is not the strongest position for your body. You will not be able to hold up your body weight. You know, like the guys who do the rings and stuff, they're perfectly in a T for a reason, right? So we stack directly over the shoulders. Okay, when we stack here, most people are unplugged. I call it unplugged. So I'm going to turn to the side so you can see. Okay, unplugged, plugged, unplugged, plugged. Most people are pulling their arms out of the sockets, which means the wings slide towards the armpits and there's absolutely no strength in that position. When you plug the shoulders in and you're pulling them back into the joints, getting your wings on your back, getting those bottom tips of the shoulder blades to engage, your arms look like they're shorter, right? And they also go wider. You're unplugged, I could tell, because your arms aren't wide enough. Pull them back into the shoulder joints. That's how I know. Straight, straight, straight. Do not bend the elbows when we stack, right? See how, if you bend the elbows, there's no energy at all. It's unplugged, there's no circuitry. So it's super strong, even in the fingers. The fingers are like alive, you know, like that. Same thing here. So unplug, plug, unplug, plug. And we're going to do a lot of this today in different poses. We're going to have you unplug and then plug in and feel the difference. When you pull the shoulders down the back, straight up and straight, 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 even straighter. Yeah, straight. You know, we don't want that bend in the elbows. It's a lot of work, right? This is how you get strong. That's it. Yeah, and when you pull your shoulders down your back, you're engaging the lats, right? As soon as the lats are engaged, your shoulder's safe. Most people are really sleepy and we'll just say stuck. There's a lot of tension underneath here. And if you do have a shoulder injury, then you'll probably notice it when we try to engage, that it's like, ah. Okay, the same with the legs, okay? It's really tricky with the legs because most people are like this. I call it duck feet, when their feet are turned out. When your feet are turned out, your pelvis pushes forward and you're no longer what I call plugged in. So to plug in, we have to rotate, right? And when we rotate, we let our pubic bone tuck under, almost like we're ducking out. Duck out even more. You guys aren't ducking. Ducking is the other way. Push your butt back. Okay, that's ducking. You duck out. And then from there, you press your tailbone towards your pubic bone so that you can be plugged in. So you have to duck first and then plug, right? So when we're in different poses, if your toes are not touching, if you're not fully engaging, you'll hear me say glue your feet together, and that's like a shortcut that I have. It's not exactly it, but it's the shorthand version of what I'm trying to teach. Okay, so stacking. So hip distance with the feet if they're not actually touching. Hip distance, not here. You know, that's not as strong as the stance is here. So yeah, so we'll work on the legs today. We're doing core and legs to begin. I'm going to incorporate all of these principles into it. And then the last part that I like to go over when I'm working with the alignment principles is most people are leading with their heads and kinking their neck in order to arch. There's so much happening here. There's way too much mental energy and not enough embodied energy for most people. You know, all their energy is up here, so they're trying to pull with their head, particularly when they're doing sit-ups. You actually don't need to use your head at all to activate your core, so we're going to work on that today. So the way that I support the head to make sure it stays in line with the body is I use my chillaxin arms. We interlace the fingers strongly and we pull them away. Our elbows are out in a T. Okay, so we're pulling away so strongly that it's actually engaging the shoulders. Turn your hands around. There you go. Yeah. So this is our strong clasp. It's not like this, you know, on the back of the head. I see that a lot. And I'm just like, no, really get it. And then your head, the place where the neck inserts into the skull, the occipital ridge, lower. There you go. You're going to hold on. That's it right there. You see, it's kind of like a little nook. Yeah. And then the elbows are out. Good. And then we can actually press the back of the head into the hands, like we're pressing our head into an invisible wall. Yeah. And then from there, the chest can open. So chillaxin arms in all of the sit-ups, all of the core strengthening, all of the back bends is going to help us retrain from kinking our neck, right? So even here, our chin stays level with the earth. And we're not like, when in doubt, press the back of your head into an invisible wall like you have chillaxin arms there. Okay? It's a really great shorthand way to get the alignment of the spine. Okay, so any questions about the alignment principles? No. Okay, external loop, internal loop, dynamic tension, crown of the head, leading with the heart, lifting the sternum, arching from the upper thoracic spine, pubic bone tucked under, tailbone tucked towards the pubic bone, navel pulled in and up, right? Thumbs up, elbows in. Great.